Hello, Richard Barton with 5 minutes on negotiation. People worry about negotiating. They worry about needing clever tricks and techniques, about being in a weak position, about losing. Well, I'm going to release you from all these worries, explain your real source of strength and the only trick you need. Worrying about fancy tactics and losing stem from the assumption that negotiation is a win-lose game played along a single scale. Say you're negotiating over money, a price or wage rate, say. You might open the negotiation at a wildly optimistic extreme. Your best realistic outcome is further down the scale, and further still is the worst settlement you're prepared to accept. Meanwhile, the other side comes in with their wildly optimistic opening position at the other end of the scale. They also have an idea of best realistic and worst acceptable outcomes. The typical view of negotiations is that both sides haggle and trade, moving along the scale towards each other. If the two scales overlap, a deal should be reached. Where it ends is down to the skill, or trickery, of the negotiators. If the two scales don't overlap, then they can't agree, and have to go back to the people they represent, or walk away without a deal. This model is win-lose. Every gain by one side means a loss to the other. It's no wonder people get worried. But this whole model is wrong. Negotiations are never on a single scale. Even with a price, there are other variables like warranty, payment terms and credit. Even in a wage bargaining, there are variables like overtime, benefits and working conditions. The two scales need to be drawn like this. They're not necessarily opposed. The deal isn't somewhere on a single scale. It could be anywhere in this space. I might force my needs and not accommodate the other party at all, for example, when I insist my children go to bed. Or I might surrender my needs and yield to the others entirely, for example, if I'm happy for a team member to tackle a problem their way. We might end up in the middle with a compromise. I get some of my needs met, though not all, and the other side gets some of their needs met, but not all. It's not ideal, but sometimes the best that can be achieved. That leaves two corners. The two parties could walk away without a deal. How bad is that? If I'm selling a rare car that lots of people want to buy, I can easily walk away from one buyer and find another. If I'm the buyer and I really want the rare car, walking away is harder for me. Always have a clear view on how bad it is to walk away. This is called your best alternative to a negotiated agreement, and it's usually not as bad as you assume. Never settle for a deal that's worse than what happens if you walk away. That is your real source of power in a negotiation, your willingness to walk away. As soon as you declare a deal is a must-win, you weaken yourself. People often assume they have to find a deal and so settle for a poor one. Remembering that you can walk away gives you strength. Then there's the win-win solution, where both parties get everything they need, and already you're thinking that it's a nice idea but can't often happen in real life. It's true that win-win solutions aren't often found, but that's because they aren't often looked for. See, what happens is that neither side think about their underlying needs. People come up with one way of meeting their needs, then press for that solution. Often the two sides have assumed solutions that are not compatible, so they fail to find win-win. But if they peeled back their assumed solutions and got back to underlying needs, they'd find other solutions, fully meeting all needs, which are compatible. So the only real negotiation trick is peeling back to underlying needs. Ask the other side, why is that necessary? Why does that matter to you? What's the underlying reason for asking for that? Could that need be met in other ways? You need to do the same with yourself. Ask yourself the same questions. Let go of your assumed solution and focus on your underlying needs. Doing this can take time and practice, but the results are astonishing. The more variables you can bring into a negotiation, the more chance of a win-win solution, because new variables offer new ways of meeting underlying needs. Don't discuss each variable separately. Bundle variables into packages and discuss whole packages. Suggest packages which contain variables that are easy for a party to give, yet valuable for the other party to get. Work together so the negotiation becomes a joint problem-solving exercise. So much better than trying to beat the other side with tricks.